sure as you're pushing the board back, kind of lift up just a little so you don't tear off your rubber strips that you glued down. They should stay with the adhesive, but you don't want to try and do anything to take them off on your own accord. You also notice you can take the edge of the transport band and roll it into itself. Tuck it up inside. I'll bring you down here and show you. You actually take the band and tuck it inside and get your hand on this board and lift the board up. So that way the belts in this band itself aren't like cutting your skin or giving you road rash. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and drop in the second board. In case you haven't seen some of my other videos, the rear board on the machines is specific for which lane it goes in, odd or even. And that's because there's a sloped side here. You can actually see it. It actually gets narrower. Let me bring you up a little bit more. It actually it narrows down as it comes to the point here. This side is going to be by your ball door. There's also a rounded edge. This edge is rounded so it won't cut into your transport band. You got a knife edge basically here, a sharp edge. So be sure that the rounded edge is to the back of your pin setter by the elevator, and that the slope side is by the ball door. Let's go ahead and label this up so everybody knows when we did it again. Sometimes I'll have the rear board will split and we'll take it out, and might not have to fix the front board, but at least we'll know on both boards what time it was last when we did this. We're going to get this back down. We're going to put this one back in, go back through the motions. So I'm going to slide the tapered edge in first from this side. Right here's the tapered edge. Almost got it up. Now I got to lift the back of the board up to do a nose dive in to get it into lane. Should be close enough. I can reach it on the other side, pull it up, and flip it over. Alright, it's time to go ahead and bolt it back down. I know I've shown this on other videos, but I just want to do a reminder. Sometimes there is different lengths of bolts. Depends on what age your house is with the pin setters. Brunswick eliminated these different lengths of bolts now. On newer GSX houses, they're all the longer ones. But if you have the old house, remember, your shorter bolt is going to go on these. You're going to have 2 short bolts, and you're going to have 6 longer bolts. Your 2 short ones are going to go on the tapered side by the ball door. Also remember that whenever you put your bolts back in, if I were you, it'd be best to always put your bolts all 8 of them in, get them all good and centered, your boards as well, before you tighten any of them down. Any time in the past where I've tightened some of the bolts down, it won't allow you to shift the other board, and then all of a sudden you realize you got to back 4 of them out of one board to get the other board to come up into place. So as I recommended, get all your bolts in, make sure your washers are seated into the actual boards before you tighten anything down. Alright, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got the bolts started finger tight. I haven't got them all secured down in yet. But I'm going to go ahead and feed the back roller in from this side, right through the bottom transport band here. And then I'm going to bring you on the inside. I can tighten the bolts on the inside as well as I can drop that roller back in. Most of this work I do usually do from the back, but it's just going to be harder for you to visualize what's going on in the front if I don't do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and feed the roller in right now first thing. It's running right across the boards. I'm just going to keep it at an angle, push it far enough in where I can reach it from the inside while I'm in there. Alright, so I got you on the inside here. Got some of our hardest. I got all the other bolts finger tightened in. I just got to do this. I like to secure this one first. It's the biggest pain in the butt. Got my ratchet again with the universal joint. It doesn't seem like it's actually threaded in quite well yet. I can see I'm off a little bit, so I got to pull it back some. I'm going to stick the handle of my ratchet in there and pull it back to myself. It's not seeming to be moving, so I'm going to just grab the board from underneath here. There we go. Give it a tug. Should be starting. Yeah. I think I got it now. Seems to be recessing not as well as I'd like, so I'm going to pull the board back to the right side of your screen a little. That's all it's going to give me. Alright, it's making it down into the recessed opening on the transport band board. Alright, see if we can speed the process up a little. Nope, too close to the wall. But I certainly can on this other side. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, tighten down all my bolts the rest of the way, and then I'll kick it back on and we'll drop that roller in. Alright everybody, we're back here. We're on the inside of the pin setter. I did get all of my bolts secured down along the lines there in the light. I've got my roller here. It's still at an angle. Sorry. It's still at an angle running out towards the back of the pin setter. I'm getting ready to bring it in. I'm going to pull it in and I'm going to drop the side in next to the ball door first. It's right over here. I'm going to just drop that point down in the trough down in there. Once that gets kind of situated, I'm going to bring the rest. I'm going to bring the back end in. As I bring it in, whenever I go to put it in, I'm going to raise it up in the air, same as the pass of that light, and bring it over and drop it in to the other trough over here. I'm not going to show you the part on what would be the 7-pin side on this machine, because it just drops right in. It almost knows right where to go. It knows it's home. But you are going to be watching me lift the roller on the opposite side here to get it up and over the wall. See if I can get you in the right position. There we go. I can bring the roller to me just by pushing on the mat. It'll just roll underneath the mat, like pushing a cat out from underneath a rug. Alright, both sides are dropped in. I'm going to kind of center up my belt a little bit before I climb back out of here. It'll just make it easier. Not too bad. We'll be able to work a lot more of it out whenever we center up the T-band roller in the back. Alright, this part coming up, usually I expect is the hardest part. It's trying to get that the rear roller back in, because it's got the all threads on it and the bearings that seem to catch on the frame assemblies. But we're going to do the best we can, try and get this in pretty fast. It's going to be a bunch of back and forth. I'll try and show you a tip or some advice to try and get this other side to just go up and over and get in. Alright, now you seem to have you'll have a lot of problems on this left side over here when you're trying to get it in with the bearings catching. A way I found is use one of your pin deflectors to put over top of everything in there that it'll snag on. That way it'll just pull easily across while you work on the right side. Pin deflector board. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. It pulled quite a ways, but then it's still caught right here on this lip. So I'm going to adjust it out a little bit, and I'm going to go back to the other side and pull it back over again. It went a little far. Now it's pinned on the opposite side, on the inside here, right there. So I'm going to pull the deflector out of my way now, and I can just work and put it right where I need it to be. Alright, that's the most part of it. I guess I can go ahead and show you what I'm going to do to pin it back down. Might as well keep the ball rolling here. I'm sure I've shown this in a past video, but in case this is the first time you've seen it, I would just want to make sure you do understand it. When you compress this spring on that all-thread rod down there, Brunswick says that in the books, the maintenance books, when it's all put together, it's going to be like so, and then it's going to have the two nuts on the bottom of it. But when it's all said and done, Brunswick states that from the outside of the washer to the outside of the washer, when it's compressed, the way it should be at 1 inch. So that should be a 1 inch distance. That's about like 1.25 inches or something now. But that's the way I'm going to work with here. I do start both sides before I totally tighten it down. If you do one side down to 1 inch and you try and do the other side, you can't even seem to get the bolt on. So be sure to put both your springs and your whole entire spring tension assembly on first before you tighten it down. There's the one side. I'm going to go ahead and do the other. Now I'm going to tighten them down until I get my inch on both sides. Got my caliper set at 1 inch. Bring you back over to the other side. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my pin deflector boards back on the side over here. Once I have those on, I'll start it. I'll get my T-band drive belts back on. Alright, so we're going to drop this pin deflector board back in. Can't run it on diagnostics without this in. The pin will shove right out the back. ahead and take a wrench. I'm going to stick it under the edge here. You can see the light right there. That's the gap I got to have. You're supposed to have about 5 millimeters. This is probably going to be about 7 or 8 millimeters. But I'm going to stick it right under there and press this down on top of it to rest, and I'll secure these bolts down. I'm resting it right on the roller because that's a good solid surface underneath. Alright, and I'm going to do the same to the opposite side. Same thing, stick a wrench under the bottom to lift it up off the transport band. I am going to go ahead and just throw on the other side, but I'm just going to pause it. It's basically the same breakdown as what I just did. Alright, so when I started this, these pulley wheels were a little closer together. Don't know why. Not going to ask any questions, but nevertheless, I had issues getting my belt out. Sometimes if you have issues getting your belt out, the belt is thinner sideways than it is the actual width of it. So when I took them out, I had to run them through the sideways way and then flip them back over to get them over the rollers. So if you have problems getting them out, sometimes you can do that. We're just going to work on getting these belts back on. Then we're going to have to work on, I got to run both lanes in diagnostics since I took the actual tensioner springs off both lanes. We've got to get the belts centered back up on both of them, make sure they're not tracking left or right. So it's just time to get it up and put these belts on, and that should be the end of this video very soon. A little bit better light in here, maybe. Now I'm going to put the palm of my thumb here on the top of the wheel and push down as my fingers bring it across. Don't get your fingers caught in the belt. I'll reach over the top and grab the green belt and pull it back to myself. Same thing on the opposite side. Get your green belt organized, straightened out first. Back on the pulley wheel. All good. Alright, so I've got everything back into diagnostics. I'm going to run it here. We're going to get it going. And we're just going to see if it starts tracking one way or the other. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. I can already see that the belt is tracking to the left side of the screen. So, it's almost like working with a kite string. As you're working with like you're working with your kite string. If I tip it this way, the kite string would walk this way. If I tip it the opposite way, it would walk back. So that's what I need to do to get to walk back. I got to tip this roller this direction. Is what I'm going to try and do. So to do that, everything is at 1 inch already on my bearings, or on my tension spring here. So to get it to, the only way I can get it to tip would be either to tighten this side to bring it down, or to loosen this side to bring it out. And I don't want to tighten any more over the 1 inch, because I'm not wanting to stretch my T-band board out. So what I'm going to do is this side is going to stay where it's at, and if anything, I'm going to loosen the opposite side over on that side. So I'm going to go ahead and put this lock nut on and secure this side down, because this is going to be my fixed point. Now we're going to go over to the other side and we're going to work it from there. Alright, so I already know that I want this side to be looser, and I need it to get traveling quicker, so I'm probably going to loosen it up by about 8 turns, or 8 half turns. I think I'm going to start with about 6. 8 might be a bit too much. And then we're going to see where it goes from there. As long as you point your calipers the right direction, you can use them as a judging to see if it's walking or not. Don't point them towards the belt. It'll usually end up snagging, and it'll take them out of your hands, and it could bend them up or mess them, but float along the belt. Alright, the belt seems to be stable, maintaining right where it's at. I'm going to reference the other side, and I'm going to see just how much gap I've got. By gap, I mean this distance right here showing of the roller. I got about a ½ inch on that side and about 1 inch on this side. This side is by the ball door. I'd rather have this side be a little closer, so no pin heads get stuck down in this area, right by this ball door. Sorry. If you got too big of a gap here, pin heads get stuck here. They'll block the ball from actuating the ball door trigger, and then balls won't go through. You'll be back here fixing that issue all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up some more. I might have needed the 8 turns I was talking about. So I did 6. 7, 8. Okay, I slowly see it's walking to the right of your image. I'm going to let it go for a bit, and then I probably need to put it back those 2 turns, because with the 2 turns earlier, it seemed to be staying exactly where it needed to be. Yeah, I can see on these calipers, just in the time I've been talking, it's moved out about 1/8 of an inch to the right. I'm going to go ahead and reposition them right at the edge, so I can tell when it moves more. Let it ride for a minute. Okay, it's gone about a 1/16 more in the time we've been watching it. I believe I'm going to go ahead and tighten it back up at least 1 turn, 1/2 turn. Trying to slow down the walking that it's coming across. think that's going to be pretty good right there. I'm probably going to go just one more, what would be like an eighth of a turn tighter.